Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, TheMadKaiger, and up here today, guys, we are back with the next Gears of War review, and we are reviewing my all-time favourite, Gears of War 3. I remember when this game came out, I was really hyped for this game. I had followed all the trailers, all of the updates and things, because this game was going to be the next evolution in Gears of War games, and in my opinion, still to this day, is the best Gears of War package. It not only offered an amazing campaign, it had a bunch of extra modes in the game that were just fantastic. Now, straight off the bat, the first thing I noticed when I played this game for the first time was, even though it still retained that gritty style that Gears of War had, this game had a lot more light to it in terms of the colours and stuff like that. There was lots of parts in the game where you're fighting in the streets, in the cities, and you spend most of the time on this game fighting above ground. In fact, you don't ever go below ground like you do in the previous games. And that's something I really actually liked about this game, is that they went away from that underground, that familiar style, and they made it a little bit more light, and bright in some places, and colourful. And some people may not like that at the time, but actually throughout time, I think I've come to really felt like it was a fresh lick of paint that the series needed. Gears 1 and 2 were very similar in their style, and Gears 3 sort of went away from that and took it in a different direction. And actually, it's a very memorable campaign. The campaign is absolutely fantastic. And the good thing about this game is that you actually got to play this game campaign either single player, co-op, or even 4 players. You could actually play 4-player co-op, which was really unique for the time, because Gears of War games had been a 2-player game for campaign. But how they worked it in this game is that you had different squads, and there were some new characters, of course, and it really worked pretty well. And the first thing you want to know is that the game actually introduced a new enemy type called the Lambert. And the Lambert were basically like evolved versions of the Locust, which it sort of was hinted at in Gears 1, and then in Gears 2 they sort of explained it a little bit. But it wasn't until Gears 3 we actually got the new enemies called the Lambert. And basically they are like locusts that have been evolved by this thing called emulsion, which at the time people thought was like a fuel or something, but actually the game explains what the emulsion is. I'm not going to give away the story, because the story in this game is really good. And there are some twists and turns in this game. There are some very dark moments and some emotional moments as well. There's a character that dies in this game that you just wouldn't expect who died. I ain't going to give it away. If you've played the game, you already know who I'm talking about. And that really turned a lot of heads at the time, because it was so crazy, because this character had been in there since day one, and to see that character be killed off, they didn't hold any punches with these games. And even in the later Gears of War games, they still did that. They still killed off main characters, and that's something that some people don't like, but other people do actually like, that the company doesn't actually hold any punches, and anyone is a danger in this series. I really like the Lambert, because how the Lambert work is they basically evolve, and when you kill them they explode, and it definitely makes for a much more difficult game. I actually have beaten this one on Insane on 4-player in a different campaign mode, which I will talk about very shortly. But what was really cool about this game is that it just, they went away from the original Locust. The Locusts do make an appearance in this game as the Savage Locusts, which are basically like locusts that were, on the surface at the time, and weren't underground when all of that shit happened. And they're different types of locusts that have like evolved, and they're not like the previous locusts where they're really like strict and follow the Queen's rules. These ones are much more like, well, they're savage locusts, so they follow their own rules and stuff like that. So the game does actually pretty cool job of splitting between two separate types of enemies. You had the Lambert and you had the Savage Locust, and it was really cool at the time to see how these enemies reacted to each other, because technically both styles of the Locust, Lambert and Locust, they're technically enemies at the time. And yeah, the campaign is really, really good. It's a very memorable one. I'm going to beat the campaign tonight with my friend, and we'll be starting off on some extra modes and stuff. But what was really cool is you had the normal campaign, which obviously if one player died, then that was it. You had to go back to the checkpoint. But what was really cool is they added a mode called Arcade Campaign. And how Arcade Campaign worked is it played, well, very similar to the normal campaign, except it would tell you when you kill an enemy, when an enemy kills you. If you died, you would respawn at the next checkpoint or something, and you could add all of these like extra like unlockables and cheats, as you call them. Yeah, because back in the day you didn't have to pay for cheats, you had to unlock them, and this game has a lot of unlockables as well. And the arcade mode is a really fun way of going back and playing through the campaign, and you know, just changing it up a little bit, adding like those extra things like, you know, unlimited ammo or bullets do extra damage when you get an active reload, because that's something that Gears of War has done well, is they added this active reload thing, which I haven't mentioned actually. Basically, when you press the reload button, you would get a bar, and if you hit the bar at the right time, your gun would reload faster, or you would get a damage boost, or if you missed it, your gun would jam and it would take a few extra seconds to reload. And that's what made the Gears of War game really unique for the time. And to be honest, the active reload is just something that when you play a Gears of War game, it becomes second nature. It really does. You know, perfecting active reloads can really be a matter of life and death in this game, especially on the harder difficulties and especially in multiplayer. Multiplayer did come back in this game, bigger and better than ever, because they added some DLC into the game. And one of the coolest DLCs they added into the game was called Ram's Shadow. And Ram's Shadow, we all know General Ram from the original game. Ram's Shadow, I think, takes place before Gears of War 1 or during Gears of War 1. And what it is an actual game where you get to play as the Locust. And what's really cool about the Ram Shadow, because it stuck to that 4-player co-op. Player 1 would play as General Ram with his, you know, his big turret weapon, but he could also command the crew, which were like the killer birds, against enemies. Player 2 would play as a Theron Elite, which was a new enemy added to that campaign, and they would have a new weapon with the sawn-off shotgun with bayonet, and that was so cool to use that. And player 3 and 4 would play as the Elite Maulers, and the Maulers were basically like the big boomer enemies, and they'd have like a shield on one arm and a big flail on the other one. But the Elite Maulers could basically make their shield spin and reflect the bullets back at the enemies, kind of like a lightsaber. And that was a really cool concept for the time, because, you know, I've always been one to love games where you play as the bad guys, you know, and it was really cool to see that. I'm going to play Ram Shadow tonight, hopefully, once we beat the main campaign, because I've only played it once and I don't really remember too much about it. So going back and playing that again will be awesome. It was a really, really fun DLC, because, you know, it added something new to the game and it was really different. The only thing I would say that I was a little bit that is a little bit annoying is that you have to make sure you are that particular player to play as that character. So you can't pick and choose what character you play as. So if you wanted to play as General Ram, you'd have to make sure you were hosting the game, or at least player 1. And, you know, if you wanted to play as the Elite Maulers, you'd have to be player 3 or 4. So it took some time to sort of try and plan that out. The same thing goes for the campaign. If you wanted to play as a certain character, you'd have to make sure you were that particular player. So it did take some planning. I did beat arcade mode back in the day on Insane with 4 players, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. Very challenging, but playing it on arcade is just more gameplay rather than trying to, you know, get a bit more challenge to it. And you can add extra challenges to it. Horde mode returned in this game bigger and better than ever. Horde mode 2.0. What was great about Horde mode is that, again, it was 50 waves. And how it worked in this game is you got points every time you completed a chapter, and you use those points to either buy weapons, buy ammo, or you could put certain like weapon placements of turrets and defenses like barbed wire, upgrade them, and you know, distractions and stuff, and you could only place them in certain areas, so it really made the game a bit more strategic in the horde mode, so you could hold down a certain area by building the defenses in a certain area. Of course, in the later Gears of War, they changed horde mode, and in my opinion, I didn't really like horde mode in Gears 4. Gears 5 horde mode isn't too bad, but horde mode in Gears 3, it was just so great. You know, it improved on the original horde mode. You know, horde mode in Gears 2 was fun, but it was definitely much more challenging because there was no defenses. It was just your standard survival. But in Gears 3, it took horde mode to the next chapter, and it really made it even better. And what was also awesome about Gears of War 3 is my favorite mode of any Gears of War game, and that is Beast Mode. Beast Mode was a 12-round mode where it was kind of like horde mode, but instead of defending an objective, you had to kill the humans, the cog and the stranded, and you would basically get points, and you'd use those points to play as different locust characters. And each character had a tier, so you know, the lowest tier would be like a wretch or a ticker, and then the higher tiers you would get like the Cantuses, the savage drones, even the lambent berserker, which is obviously one of the bosses in the game. And obviously that how it works. Horde mode wasn't time based. Horde mode was you kill the enemies and the next wave starts, whereas Beast mode was time based, so you'd have like a couple of minutes to kill the enemies and complete a wave and then move on and so forth. But it was really fun because you got to play as these different characters, and you know, there was no like, you know, each character had their own play style, and you know, it's fast paced, and it just made for a really fun mode. And it's a shame really, because Beast mode was meant to come back in Gears 5, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'd like to see Gears 5 have Beast mode in it, I really would. But Beast mode was just a really fun mode because you got to play as the bad guys for once. Again, like Ram Shadow. And like I said, I love games where you get to play as like enemy minions, or you can control them. It kind of did make a comeback in Gears 5 when you play as Jack. You can hijack an enemy. But it just was fantastic. Another thing that I love about Gears 3 is the unlockables. Yes, guys, unlockables. Do you remember back in the day where you would... This game had, not hundreds, but a ton of characters to unlock. Some of them were traditionally just through leveling up. Other ones you had to do a certain challenge. But there are so many different characters for each army you could play as, both sides. Either in multiplayer and of course, horde mode. And it was really fun because even though, you know, what's great is also, I do want to mention that if you do want to unlock those characters, I don't think you need to actually play online. You can play against bots in the multiplayer versus mode. You can play against bots and you still get the challenges and the leveling ups and stuff like that. So that's so cool. Like, you can do a majority of the stuff offline if you really want to. And like I said, it was, you know, each character, you know, it was just a different skin, but they'd have their own voice lines and stuff. And there were some DLC characters, of course, you know, the season pass and stuff, added some new modes, new maps, new characters and stuff like that. But for the majority of the game, it was very, you know, built into how you unlock the characters. And that's something that modern games don't do anymore. The new Gears of War game, I just want to mention that Gears of War 5 and Gears of War 4, well, Gears 5 more so, because I didn't play much Gears 4 multiplayer, but when there's a new character released, you can either pay real money to get that character there and then, or you can just spend hours on the game, you know, grinding to get the character, but you still have to buy a character and you buy all the skins. And, you know, this game just had so many cool, like, unlockable weapon skins, character skins. And you know, it's just a shame that, you know, Gears of War after Gears of War 3 just went well away from what made the series great. You know, all the unlockables and all of the great modes. And they just sort of changed it up, made it more pay to play kind of thing. You know, yes, again, most of the stuff you pay for in the modern Gears game is skins and stuff. But it's not the point. You know, you felt accomplished when you leveled up in this game and you got that extra, skin. Going back to Halo Reach, how I mentioned on that game, how, you would play that game for hours on end and get the extra, all those awesome modded armor pieces. Gears of War 3 did a similar thing where you just spent, hours trying to get all of the stuff. And, you felt accomplished by doing it. You didn't feel like you were cheaping out by paying like £5 to get that extra skin or something like some people do. And it's just a shame, really, because, Gears of War 3 is in my opinion, my favourite of the Gears of War series. I give this game a 9 out of 10. It's that good. Amazing campaign, both normal and arcade mode. Horde mode was better and bigger and better than ever. And, Beast mode was just fantastic. And even playing against bots is still pretty fun. You didn't need to be online back in the day to enjoy this game, and still so today. There's like maybe about 100 people playing this online. Nowadays, maybe a few more. So you might be able to find a game, but I would still recommend just playing against some bots, because it still is a lot of fun. And Gears of War 3 is a game that I can go back to anytime and just enjoy every part about this game. I'm going to hopefully beat the story tonight. Well, I probably will. We're on the last chapter now anyway. We've only got a couple of extra mission parts to do. And then we're going to do Realm Shadow. And then, obviously, I might do a bit of Beast Mode or something. But, again, like I said, this works on Xbox One, by the way. But, it's just, this game just was nostalgia. I remember when it first came out, my friend let me borrow this when it first came out, and I played through it, and I loved every part of it, man. But even going back to this game today, it still holds up, and most of the Gears of War games hold up. The next game in the series is Judgment, and some people don't really class Judgment as a Gears of War game because it was made by a different developer at the time. It's very different, but I'm still going to play through it, even though Judgment technically is a prequel to Gears of War 1. I'm playing the games in order as they came out, not chronological order. But Gears of War 3, guys, this game holds up so well. I absolutely love this game. If you've never played a Gears of War game and you just want to try one for the sake of it, play Gears of War 3, because you will not be disappointed. This game just has something for everyone in it. It's really, really good. And it is challenging as well. It's got a fair amount of challenge to it, and there are some very memorable moments in this game. But overall, I digress. This game, you can't go wrong with Gears of War 3. It is just that good. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and of course, comment below. Let me know what you think of Gears of War 3. What's your favourite of the series? Mine personally, as I already said, is 3. Can't hate on Gears of War 3. It's just that fun to go back to and play. And going back and, when I said that I was doing this Gears of War marathon, I just knew that once I got to Gears of War 3, I was just going to have a good time. And I am. I love Gears of War 3. And even today, if I went back and played this game, even if I did a couple of rounds of Horde or Beast Mode with my friend or something, it's still that good to go back to and play. And of course, guys, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Thanks to all the new subscribers and everyone joining the family. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are enjoying these reviews. I know I've been doing a lot of reviews as of late, but it's the name of the game, baby. I can't really go out and do any pickups videos or anything at the moment, but who knows? Hopefully next month things might clear up for everyone and we might be able to start doing some pickups. I ain't going to put myself on the front line, by the way. I'm going to be sensible about things. Of course, I don't want to go out there and think, oh, because I can go out now, I can abuse the system. I'm not stupid like that. I will pick some more games up as time goes on. And if not, I have things like Amazon and stuff. So Amazon can always prescribe me with some games and stuff throughout the days. And it's not like I don't have anything to play. I've got hundreds of and thousands of games, and you know, my Xbox and PS4 has hundreds on there as well, and I've got Game Pass and PlayStation Now and stuff. So, and the same thing goes with all my DVDs and TV subscription, Netflix, Amazon, Virgin, and all this stuff. So I've always got something to watch and play, and I have been watching movies as of late at night, and I might even do some movie reviews in the future. I've been watching a lot more movies as of late, so maybe I might do some reviews on movies. But anyway, guys, as always, feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMadKaiger, and of course, guys, feel free to check me out on the Mixer at TheMadKaiger. Also, I will be playing some more Gears of War 3 tonight. Check out the final part, and if you want to see Realm Shadow, I just wanted to mention quickly before I do, I have got one pickup. I picked up BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. It was just on sale on Amazon for like $12.99. I ordered this last week and it turned up yesterday. So yeah, it's a fighting game in the BlazBlue series. I don't really like the BlazBlue series. Well, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not really a big 2D fighter fan, but I just had to have this for the collection because it was cheap and it wasn't like a Western game, you know. So you know me, I have to have my my anime style games. But anyway, guys, as always, have a nice day, and I hopefully will see some people tonight. If not, I will see you in the next video. Take care, and bye bye.